The Apollo Twin is one of the most popular audio interfaces of all time, and in this video I'm going to be showcasing all of its features to help you decide if it's the right interface for your home studio. First, let's talk about the price. The Apollo retails for $9.99 for the dual core and $14.99 for the quad core version. The number of course has to do with how many plugins you can run in this interface, but I'll talk more about that later in the video. In the box, you'll get the interface, a power supply, and an instruction manual so you can register your Apollo and download the console app. But something very important that you should know is that the Apollo can only be connected with a Thunderbolt cable, and unfortunately it is not included with the Apollo, so that will be an additional cost. So you're probably asking yourself, why is this interface so expensive? In order to answer that question, we have to talk about Universal Audio, which is the company that makes the Apollo Twin. If you're unfamiliar with them, they're known to make the best emulations of analog gear in the world. They created these plugins that sound near identical to vintage preamps, compressors, EQs, and other effects, and made those sounds available to the public through the Apollo. And just to give you an idea, if you were to buy the actual hardware for some of the plugins that come included within Apollo, like the 610B preamp, an LA2A compressor, a Pultec EQ, and even a Marshall Plexi, that will cost you tens if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, but now you have access to these sounds for a fraction of the price. But what really sets apart the Apollo from other interfaces is the fact that it is DSP powered. This means it can run all of the plugins that I just mentioned in real time with no latency and without putting any strain whatsoever in your computer. So even though this is not a cheap interface, you are getting a lot of value for the money. Moving on, let's have a look at the actual hardware and some of the features built into the Apollo. In the front, you have one headphone output and one instrument input for your guitar and bass. It has one master control wheel to control both the volume and gain levels. On the left side, you have your LED indicators for channels 1 and 2, which you can switch by clicking the preamp button. And when you select that mode, in the bottom, it gives you multiple functions, a high pass filter so you can roll off the low end of your recordings, a 48 volt switch to power on condenser microphones, a pad switch which will allow you to record really loud audio sources, a polarity switch in case you're having phasing issues, and a link button that will link both channels 1 and 2 together. On the right side, it has LED indicators for both your headphones and monitors, and you can switch between those by clicking on the monitor button. And when you do that, the functions will change for every button on the bottom of the interface. Now it gives you a talkback feature in case you're in one room and the artist that you're recording is in a separate room. They will be able to hear you through their headphones. Dim, which will decrease the output levels on your studio monitors. Mono, which will turn your stereo mix into a mono mix. And a mute button. On the back of the interface, it has two XLR and mic inputs. In addition to that, you can connect up to 2 pairs of studio monitors or 1 pair of monitors and then 2 additional headphones. And it comes with an optical in, which will allow you to expand the number of channels of this interface. This will be especially great for those of you who intend to record bands or mic an entire drum kit down the line. But in order to unlock the Apollo's full potential, you do need to download the console app from Universal Audio's official website, and this is what it looks like. On the far left, you have your channel strip. Here's where you're going to insert all of your effects. And a really cool feature about this software is that on the far right, it gives you 2 recording modes. UAD record means you're going to be able to hear all of these plugins in real time with no latency, and they will be printed into your DAW. This is a great feature, especially if you know that the sound you're listening to will be the final product, and ultimately this is going to save you a lot of time and even eliminate post-production. But the mode that I prefer to record in is UAD monitoring. This way I can still hear the plugins in real time, but they don't actually get printed into my DAW. The reason I prefer this method, especially for music production, is because if I need to make changes after the fact, this mode gives me the flexibility to do so in post-production. Even though specs and features are really nice on paper, at the end of the day, it's all about the sound. So let's do some audio tests so you can hear the built-in preamps in the Universal Audio plugins. You're listening to my Neumann TLM102 condenser microphone being plugged straight into the Apollo interface, and this is what the built-in preamps sound like. Now you're listening to the Universal Audio plugins, and my vocal chain includes the 610B preamp, an 1176 compressor, an LA2A compressor, and a Pultec EQ. In this world, it's just us. You know the same as it was in this world. It's just us. You know it's not the same as it was. So what are my overall thoughts and who would I recommend this interface to? Before I share it with you, if you're getting any value out of today's content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. First, let's talk about who I think should not buy this interface. If you're brand new to recording and you're looking for your first interface, I don't think that this is right for you just yet. And the reason I say that is because for half of the price of an Apollo Duo, you can build yourself an entire home studio setup, and I've even made a video on that and I'll leave the link for it here. But don't get discouraged because Universal Audio also makes a budget line of interfaces called the Volt series. And here on the channel, I reviewed both the Volt 1 and the Volt 276. In addition to that, if you're a big fan of Universal Audio plugins, they have released their Spark subscription service, which you can get started as a 14-day free trial, and then it's $20 a month. And this way, you'll have access to many of their plugins. However, if you're somebody like me and you're a huge fan of Universal Audio plugins, but you don't really like subscription services, you would much rather do a one-time payment and own those plugins for life. In addition to that, you think you're gonna get a lot of value out of the DSP power and the ability to run these plugins in real time with no latency, then I would 100% recommend the Apollo Twin because I think it was a great investment. If you want to buy this interface, the links are down in the description below. And if you want to learn how to get a $10,000 vocal chain using only the Apollo Twin, then make sure to click on this video.